Hey team, hope you guys are all doing well and your training's going well. Today's topic, I want to go over how to run a 150 half marathon. That is 8 minutes and 23 seconds per mile for 13.1 miles or 5:13 per kilometer for 21.1 kilometers. Many athletes out there are trying to run this time. I've been asked this several times, how do I run that 149.59? And there's a lot of factors that go into running a quality half marathon. Anybody that's trying to run 149.59 is a highly disciplined, very strong athlete, because that is a very competitive time. It's a time that a lot of athletes around the world are trying to achieve, and so you have to be you have to really drill down on, and as I talk about this in other videos too, it's very important to spend a higher percentage of your weekly volume training at the paces that you're aiming to train at. And so longer tempo runs is absolutely essential. If in the past your longest tempo run for a half marathon has been, say, 5 to 6 miles, I would highly recommend working yourself to a point where you can get that tempo run longer. You're spending a longer percentage of, a longer period of time training at your anaerobic threshold, which is around 85 to 88% of your maximum heart rate. This is high quality running, but again, the more time that you can spend training at that particular effort will not only help you to better handle higher amounts of lactic acid as you're racing, it'll help you to slow down less in the race, which is definitely what you want in the half marathon. But also doing speed development. We talk about doing VO2 max workouts. VO2 max is your maximum oxygen uptake. It is running at anywhere from around 95 to 100% of your maximum heart rates, but you're also running at paces that are much faster than 8:23 mile pace. So if you can get to a point where you're running periods of time, during doing intervals on the track at paces that are significantly under 8-minute mile pace, that is going to it's going to help you improve your body's lactate tolerance. Examples of doing, say, 1 mile repetitions on the track, anywhere from around 7:30 to 7:45 per rep. I would recommend, if I was doing training for a half marathon, at least what I've done in the past, the things that helped me eventually run a 107.06 for the half and a 219.35 for the marathon, was doing 6 times 1 mile on the track, 3 times 2 miles on the track. So if it was me, I would be really focusing on aiming to get to a point where I could do repeat miles on the track at 7 minutes and 30 seconds to around 7 minutes and 40 seconds per rep, with around 4 minutes rest early on. When I just started a training block, I'm not as anaerobically fit, and then as I got fitter, I would really start focusing on increasing the paces of my 1 mile reps. So early on, I wouldn't start off at 7:30. It might be starting off at around 8 minute to 8:20 per rep. Again, you want to spend time training much faster than your goal half marathon race pace. To run a 149.59 half marathon, you really have to focus also on building consistent mileage and staying consistent. There are going to be days and workouts where you just feel like crap, and you have to also understand that sometimes it's just about the effort that you need to be putting in. You may have a workout scheduled where you're supposed to hit repeat 2 miles, say in 15 flat, or between 15 flat and 15:30 per rep, and maybe you're out there and you're hitting like 16:05s and 16:10s. There are some days you're just not going to be on, but again, you're still getting out there, you're still getting that physiological boost from those hard anaerobic workouts that you're doing. So don't get too bent out of shape. Know that it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for your body to adapt to any stress you're placing on it. So early on, a 2 to 3 mile tempo run is going to hurt very badly in the early stages of your fitness, in the first few weeks of a buildup. But later on, you will be doing that same effort at the same heart rate, but you'll be going 7 to 12 miles for your tempo run, as opposed to doing 2 to 3 miles in the early stages of your buildup. So just be patient with yourself. It's very important that you stay consistent with your training. Your volume, in terms of volume, because I constantly get asked this about how much mileage should I be running. I think to run a sub 150 half marathon, again, it's not about the volume you're putting in. It's what percentage of that weekly volume are you training at or far below at 8:23 mile pace or 5:13 kilometer pace. The world's best middle to long distance runners are running close to 40% of their weekly volume at very high anaerobic efforts. So look at your past training, and if you've had pace sustainment problems in the past, look at how you've been racing. Have you been running far too aggressive in the early stages of your race? Because a lot of times that can kill a half marathon performance. I've done that too. I remember going out when Ryan Hall was running. Ryan Hall is still the American record holder for the half marathon with 59:41. I remember in Virginia Beach, this was years ago, I went out with him in the first 2 miles, hit the first 2 miles in 9:26, and didn't finish the race. I went out far too aggressive, went into oxygen dent, was running far too aggressive for my capability. And so I had to make those mistakes along the way. So again, remember, this is 13.1 miles or 21.1 kilometers. 9:26 for 2 miles is far too fast based on my personal best for the 2 mile, which is 107, or for the half marathon, which is 107.06. That comes out to 5:07 per mile. So you have to make sure you're being smart in your training and smart in your pacing, especially when you drop down your volume, you've tapered down, and you run smart in the race. Don't run too aggressive too soon, because again, it's going to cause you to either get a DNF, which sucks, did not finish, or you slow down significantly. The best races that I've run, obviously, I had to learn the hard way that it takes time to progress in this sport. You have to earn your stripes, and you have to be patient with yourself. I think for a half marathoner that's trying to run a 150 half marathon, focus on a buildup of anywhere from a minimum of 16 weeks to 24 weeks in length. 4 months and preferably 6 months is plenty of time to prepare properly for a half marathon, and regardless of what type of time you're going after, whether you're trying to break 2 hours, you're trying to break an hour and 30, you're trying to break an hour and 10, or you're trying to run under a 1 hour and 50 minute half marathon. The longer your build up, the better, because again, you're not rushing yourself. It takes time to get into great racing shape, and it's much harder to get out on the track and doing six 1 mile reps or 3 2 mile reps, or maybe doing 8 times a K on the track at, say, around 4:39 to 4:45 per rep. It's hard to do those hard intervals in the early stages when you're just getting started. So the longer you can train and the longer your build up for your half marathon, the higher chance of success you're going to have, because again, you're not rushing your fitness and you're giving yourself enough time to really prepare well for the half marathon and to break this hour and 50 minute half marathon barrier. So focus on a negative split. Do not go out the first 7 or 8 miles of this race at 7:40 mile pace. Try to focus on running the last few miles of your half marathon at 7:40 mile pace, and to run the initial few miles and few kilometers of your race at paces that are just slightly slower than 8:23 mile pace, or slightly slower than 5:13 kilometer pace. So again, if you can run the second half of that half marathon faster than the first, you're going to have a much higher percentage of success, as opposed to going out way too aggressively the first half and then dropping off pace. Make sure you're hydrating well in your long runs in training. Make sure you do not neglect hydrating well and ingesting at least 1 or 2 gels in your half marathon as well, because that's an additional 150 to 300 calories of energy that goes straight to your bloodstream if you take those gels. Make sure again, you may be able to get away with not drinking much in a 5K or even a 10K, but don't think you're going to get away with that in a half marathon or marathon. If you really want to succeed over these distances and run a 1:49:59, you have to focus on not only your speed work, your long runs, getting those long runs running at faster paces, making sure you're jogging on those recovery days so that you're recovering from the hard anaerobic workouts you're doing, getting your sleep, hydrating well. But you have to focus on making sure you're taking in enough fluids in that race. Focus on your pacing. Like I said, try to run a negative split. Mentally rehearse continually. Spend 10 to 15 minutes daily during your 4 to 6 month block of training, visualizing yourself getting across that finish line with 1:49:59. You're training your subconscious mind to do this as well. It's not just the physical training. You have to combine both the physical and the mental preparation to run a 1:49:59 half marathon. So I hope this is helpful, at least hearing some of the insight on the types of tactics you really need to be focusing on. One VO2 max workout per week, one speed workout per week, one tempo run per week, and one long run. Alternate one long, faster long run with varied paces one weekend, followed the next weekend by an easy, relaxed long run. And check out the resources that I have on RunDreamAchieve.com. If you're an athlete trying to break a 150 half marathon, I do have one sub 150 half marathon training plans. I have a sub 2 hour half marathon course for athletes that want to break the 2 hour half marathon barrier. And also I have coaching. I utilize the V.O2 platform where we focus on your VDOT scores. And as you get fitter anaerobically, as you jump in those races and you improve on your races, your VDOT scores improve. And then your corresponding paces for your threshold paces, your interval paces, your marathon pace, your easy pace, all of those adjust. So it's very, very important to utilize those tools as well that are on RunDreamAchieve.com as well. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. Definitely check out the resources below all of my videos that are there for you to help take yourself to the next level in terms of your training and your racing. And if you have any other questions, I'm here for you all, and I wish you all the best. I look forward to hearing about your 1:49:59 half marathon. Talk to you guys in the next video.